That was the world famous E7 sharp 9, made famous by Jimi Hendrix, often called the Jimi Hendrix chord or the Jimi Hendrix E. So let's take a deep dive into what makes this chord so unique, bluesy, dirty, soulful, colorful, and used in different styles of music. Jazz, blues, rock. Was Jimi Hendrix the first one to use it and to play it? No, he was not. The fascinating history of the E7 sharp 9 chord. Let's do it!
What is it about the 7 sharp 9 Hendrix chord that makes it sound so colorful, so huge, dirty and bluesy? Well, the appeal lies in the fact that, like the blues scale from which it's derived, it's both major and minor at the same time, which is to say that it includes both the major third and minor third tones. Normally, these two notes played together would produce a naturally unpleasant sound, but the 7 sharp 9 Hendrix chord structure spreads the two notes far apart enough and includes enough root tones and a seventh tone to convey a singularly interesting and amazing pleasant sound. Since it has a major third and a flat 7, it's generally considered a dominant chord. Now let's get into the history of this chord. Jimi Hendrix built his massive 1967 hit Purple Haze around this chord, and one could argue that Purple Haze owes much of its identity sonically and appeal to the choice of the tonally colorful E7 sharp 9 chord voicing rather than a more straightforward E major or even E7 chord. Although Hendrix did a lot to popularize the use of this chord, he was not the first guitar player to use the dominant 7 sharp 9 chord. This chord had appeared in jazz for many years. It appeared in Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker's arrangement of the popular standard All the Things You Are in 1945, and also showed up in the late 50s by John Coltrane in Blue Train in 1957, in addition to in R&B hits like 1958's Hold It by Bill Doggett, and the amazing Wes Montgomery used it in 4 on 6 from 1960's The Incredible Jazz Guitar of Wes Montgomery. The earliest recorded use of the chord by Hendrix himself appears to be in 1964 on one of the few known recordings he made before launching his solo career 2 years later. The Isley Brothers Testify Parts 1 and 2. The Beatles, who used it in 1966 for Revolver's opening track Taxman, however, it was in D7 sharp 9 form, and Cream, who also used it in 1966 in I Feel Free, they used it in the E7 sharp 9 form from Fresh Cream. This Hendrix chord has been used throughout rock and pop music right up until today. It can be heard down through the decades, for example, in songs by artists as diverse as Steely Dan from Kid Charlemagne in 1976 to Pixies' Here Comes Your Man in 1989 and Muse' Hyper Music in 2001. I want to thank everyone for joining me on this fascinating journey exploring the world famous E7 sharp 9 chord. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Damon D. One World, One Rock.